So with that, I'll just start with, I wholeheartedly believe that we chose our human existence to experience Earth and share our cosmic gifts. We have something cosmic to share. And Élishia, your voice is ethereal, yet commanding. And I'm going to use that description a lot, commanding, because your voice makes me stop in my footsteps to listen.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I feel it. So,
Thank you,
what
sweet.
I've really been curious is to know, when I say, where have you been my whole life? I do want to know, when did you first find your love of music, especially rock and alternative grunge? How did you go, this is what I want to do, and where did you start singing? Let's share Élishia history.
Yes, yes, let's do it. Let's go way back. Let's hop in my time machine and
Yes.
go back to the tender age of 3. when
Perf. Usually I hear 15.
So that's when I first fell in love with music, with singing. Um, Actually, like Whitney Houston was like the first like voice that I heard, and I was just like, "Oh my God, like what is this?" Like,
I want to
I
break
wanted,
out with the
like,
Bodyguard song right now.
right, right. I mean, that whole soundtrack is amazing, but
Right?
uh, so she's like my all-time favorite artist, my biggest influence because her voice is just like it still gives me goosebumps
Hmm.
anytime I hear her voice. So I started there, and then from there, I just developed, my love for music in general.
Hmm.
My parents are like very eclectic and listen to a lot of different styles of music. So like my dad, he'll play some like Luther Vandross, but then he'll
Yeah.
play some like Tupac, and then he'll play some Aerosmith or like
Love.
Carlos Santana. And my mom will play like Michael Jackson or like
Mhm.
Michael Bolton or like Billy Ray Cyrus. And so I
I
listened to
love it.
I know they're like all over the place with music, and it was great because I got to be exposed to a lot of different styles. And
Mhm.
growing up in the 90s, which is my favorite decade for music,
Mhm.
period, like across the board, across all genres. That's when I really started getting into alternative music
Mhm.
and, the grunge and, getting into like Nirvana. And then when like Jagged Little Pill came out and Alanis,
Yes.
like I was so into that. Even though, as a kid, it's like, I don't really know what y'all talking about, but I love the vibe. And
Same.
I love the energy. And I just I grew up wanting to like embody that energy. And seeing myself, I daydreamed like a lot in class, which is amazing how I was a straight A student in the first place, because I spent a lot of time in the clouds and thinking about being on stage and like rocking out and like being in these crazy, insane like heels and like fog everywhere and crazy lights and like a whole band and like playing guitar. And I was just like, I was so into like just rock, like
Mhm.
the energy that it had. Um, and just growing up in my teens, like as a black girl,
Mhm.
growing up in, so I'm from Lompoc, California, which is in Santa Barbara County. It's like a little
Oh,
itty bitty town on the coast. And,
well, wait a
I,
minute. Wait a minute.
yeah.
You know what's interesting? Do you know Jonathan Horstman from Urban Heat, the band Urban Heat?
Stop.
You two had to have
Yes.
grown up together, right?
Yes.
I
I
knew it.
believe he was a class. He was either one or two classes ahead of me. Wait, what? I didn't even know he was in a
What?
band. Whoa. Okay, so wait a minute. What's the name of his band?
Urban Heat, and he is blowing up right now.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have goosebumps. No, this did not
Stop.
just happen. I'm going to text him right now.
This
Jonathan,
is
that is
crazy.
insane because I'm going, wait a minute. She's going down the same storyline as Jonathan, who is also, well, he's mixed,
Stop.
but black,
Yes.
and who grew
Yes.
up in Lompoc himself.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
a small fucking world in California. I was in
Oh
SoCal.
my God. I'm
And I
done.
cannot believe this right now. This is why I love it. Yes. I'm going to
Whoa.
text
Oh
him.
my gosh. Please do. I'm not even sure he's gonna remember me. Like I definitely remember him.
Well,
And you know
here's
what? I'm gonna find a photo because I know we have a photo together,
Uh,
and I'm gonna send that to you.
oh, I need this. And he's
And
gonna be
send
like,
that to him. Oh
what?
my God, that's gonna be wild. Because I certainly look different back then than I do now. Like
Well, I'm
I
sure he
was
does
not as
too.
cool.
Well, that could be why too, because his band is on the post-punk front of things, and they're just blowing up. I only discovered him last year because anytime I see, a fellow Black person in alternative, I'm all about it because I
Yeah.
honestly feel as a light-skinned, Black girl confused whose mom,
Right.
I didn't get the support that you and him got with the
Yeah.
parent front as far as music goes, but I
Mhm.
get overly excited and I'm like, we're fam now, okay? Whether you
Yeah.
or not.
Right. We are. No, it's true.
But how insane is that? But I would have figured because like the whole post punk scene right now and the whole goth music scene, which there's a lot of genres in it, it's one big ass family. And Élishia, I see you in that same category. I know everything about you is unique. Where I feel all genres of rock. You have this uniqueness to you. So it's just really funny to me that you two haven't crossed paths yet and put that
I'm like
together.
blown away right now. Like,
That's what
and I'm
Michelle's
over
for.
here like I'm on the website. I'm looking at him, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Right? Well, that's amazing. But
Oh,
let's get back. You're the star today. But I just sent him a message, and we'll see. He's usually good at responding. But we're gonna have a
that's
reunion.
crazy. Oh my God, yes. Look at that.
Love
Oh
it.
my
So
God.
Lompoc apparently is going to
Yes,
be put on the map. I was just
I
watching.
guess so.
Yeah, I was watching, and I have this whole thing coming out, The Dark Side of the '90s. I think it's a show on
Okay.
Hulu, and I was like, this is
Oh.
another fucking, Caucasian rendition of the '90s. Which I
Oh
got
yeah.
excited a little bit about the grunge era because no one wants to talk about Bam Bam of just how the
Mhm.
grunge scene, even though it was short lived, it
Right.
had such an impact on us in the '90s growing up, especially as Black women and Black men. Like,
Yes,
and for me it was like
absolutely.
I had to listen to grunge and alt music in the background when I was growing up because even though I'm interracial, my mom is white, my dad's Black, it
Mhm.
wasn't okay to be either or where I
Right.
came from. So I was hoping for a little bit of representation, but they couldn't even give Tina Bell a mention, so I'm writing about that.
Right.
But they're talking about how like Seattle is this like was this like backwater town, and I'm like, well, here, look at Lompoc right now.
You're right, right.
More than Bit
Like,
Diesel.
right.
So anyways, back to you. So back in Lompoc, Élishia, you were daydreaming in class. You got Jonathan's wonderful singing ass, probably at the same time discovering Deftones. And yeah, let's just go from there. But you mentioned a
Yeah.
lot in your like in your bio, because when I found you I had to like research everything. That's just me. And
No,
I noticed
you.
that you had said that you had a throat injury. So
Yes.
what happened, if you don't mind
So,
elaborating on that?
no, not at all. So, actually, my senior year of high school, I was in concert choir, and we're getting ready to go to like our final competition for that year, and I had actually gotten food poisoning like a
Oh
couple
no.
months before that competition, and I got it so bad to the point where like I was vomiting for like 7 hours straight.
Ooh.
I ate like a turkey burger that I guess was undercooked, and I like scarfed it down because I'm just a fatty that way. And
Oh,
like
those
I
were
got
good.
so like but I'll tell you, I didn't touch a turkey burger for like a decade. Like
Ooh.
I was just so scarred. So I spent all that time like vomiting, like couldn't keep water down, like none of that. And so I went back to school, and like my voice was just raw. Like it was just all messed up, and like even my speaking voice. And so like I'd be talking to people, and like my voice would cut in and out.
Mm.
In choir, I was an alto in choir, and I had to lip sync, and I was thinking, okay, well, this will last like a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then I'll be like, back to business. Like I'll be fine. And that wasn't the case. I didn't really have my full range for a really long time. Even like after I graduated high school, went off to college, and
Mm,
I moved to Southern California specifically
mm,
to promote myself as a music artist, and I didn't have a voice to even do that. Now,
mm,
mind you, I was still like going to like open mics down here and
mm.
like trying to sing, and may or may not, have gotten booed a couple times.
No.
But
God,
yeah,
people are
which is like,
ridiculous.
right, which is, a whole like 180 for me because, growing up, I sang like in every like talent show, every
Mm,
like local access TV program I could, get my hands on. Went to all the auditions, especially like when American Idol became a thing. And so, I was so used to, being praised for, being this like really like good singer like as a
mm,
kid. And so as an adult and like trying to, still trying to sing and not having any voice, which is like, I understand why y'all not really vibing with me right now, because I'm not really vibing with me right now either.
yeah.
But I'm still getting out there because that passion, it was still pulling me in.
Mm,
So I really had to just, take some time away and try to work on, rebuilding my range and doing research, learning different, vocal techniques. I was eventually diagnosed with GERD, which is acid reflux disease.
yes.
And so I had to learn how to manage that because I think a large part of why my recovery took so long was because of that. And I
Mm,
had to learn how to manage, my eating. And I, in my household, look, spice is everything. Like, my roots are from the South. Like, we put Louisiana hot sauce on everything.
mm.
So like, I had to learn how to like get away from that. And I still struggle with that a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely not a saint when it comes to like my diet now.
It
But
hears
I
me
do a
go like, how do
lot.
you do it?
Right, right. I'm better now,
Mm,
because I know the cost. And me being able to sing and tour and all of that, especially now, is super important to me. So
yeah.
I try to be more mindful. But as a young adult, like, growing up, like it was hard. And I eventually like got to a point where I was like, okay, well, if you're gonna do this, like you gotta commit.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And in between time, like I did do some singing, like as a background singer for my now husband's band. We were dating in college, and he was in a group, and they needed background singers, and so I got in there to kind of get my feet wet again with singing and like just being on stage again. Um, and I feel like that helped a lot too. That helped with my confidence. And fast forward to 2016, like I felt like I was in a decent place with my voice. It still wasn't like where I like truly wanted it to be,
Mm,
but I felt good enough to where I'm like, okay, like let's release this first song, and what the hell, we'll do a music video too, because you got to come out the gates with a bang, right? so
yes.
so from then on, like I've just been, growing as an artist. I've been like my voice has been evolving, and my style, like, my whole look and all of that has been evolving. And so that's how we're here now talking.
Right? And it's I always have a hard time kind of like articulating connections like this, connections where our experiences, our pain, and how we got through that, and here we are
Yes.
talking now about this beautiful music. I don't, I'll try my hand singing at some point, but honestly I'd really just would rather share and use my platform, you know and not
I'm kind
drive
of curious
people
to hear
away.
you sing.
Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. I'm just like, no, you don't. It's awful. It just happened I was making some tea last night, and I just started singing Starlight by the Muse out of nowhere. And I haven't listened to
I
that
love
song
the
in like
news.
6 months. But it's like it won't stop me from doing it. It's just when spirit speaks to me, it comes out. I can't help it. But
Right.
during those times that you didn't give up, and that's one of the things that um even I struggle with, just being a personality that I am. It's just hard not to give up, especially when you know, people talk a lot about Southern California being really diverse and inclusive, but
Mm,
it's not necessarily that way, especially when it comes to the gatekeeping of fans of
absolutely.
certain type of music. And,
Yep.
you know, just being Black in this, you know, predominantly white setting, even though it's not, it wasn't their music in the
Right.
first place, it
You're
gets
right.
really uncomfortable. And it's like, dude, you
Yeah.
know, did you ever have like, you know, not regrets, but like doubts, like, am I doing the right type of music? Is this where
Hmm.
I'm supposed to be? Or
Right.
but you're multi-genre, so I feel like you're
Yeah.
just perfect wherever you fit in. You fit
Well,
in
thank
everywhere.
you. Thank you. Yeah, you know, I think in the beginning, you know, I had a little bit of that doubt,
Mm,
because really, you know, I for most of my life, like this is the kind of music I wanted to do.
mhm.
And you know, people didn't really accept that. They're like they expected me to be a neo soul artist. They expected me to be an R&B artist. They even
Yeah.
expected me to do rap, which I, you know, I did rap for a little bit because I did what everybody expected me to do
Mhm.
based off of how I look. So
Yeah.
when I started like really going down this rock and roll path, you know, initially, like people were a little confused and they're like, what is she doing? Um, but the more like people saw me and like really doing it and they were like, okay, well, like this is what she does and she means this shit, right? So we respect her for it. And I realized that, you know, even people who you know come to shows and if I'm on a bill like with other artists that you know that these other people may have come to see you know they'll come up to me after the show and say hey like you're dope and like I like what you're doing. I may not even like I don't even really like rock that much but like I like what you're doing and how you're doing it
Mhm.
because I've been on like especially in the beginning when people were trying to figure out and even myself trying to figure out well what type of bills should I be on like I would be sandwiching between like R&B or rap acts and
Mhm.
then here I come with you know my rock and roll and this heavy sound and so it was you know it was confusing times I think for both of us like for
Yeah.
myself and like the audience that would encounter me but now, you know, obviously I'm more intentional with, you know, where I'm, you know, where I perform and who I perform with and all of that. And people respect what I'm doing. Now,
Yeah.
I will say that it is interesting being a Black woman in this space because a lot of the times I am the only Black woman on a bill. And in,
Mm,
furthermore, I'm usually the only woman on a bill
yeah. Yeah.
because it's very much a boys club and it's
Mm,
definitely like a white boys club. And
mhm.
so whenever I get the opportunity to put shows together, like I've put a few shows together now at the Viper Room, which is, you know, one of my favorite, you know, venues in
Yes.
LA. I usually bring on Black rock artists because we don't get that opportunity all the time.
And
Um,
I'm glad you brought that up because I was taught with the first podcast episode that I did at the beginning of this year.
yeah.
I will do it this year. But I was to my Gray, and she is, you know, Filipino trans woman in
Okay.
Oakland, and we were talking. Who also has, you know, history with who's done hip hop, who's done rap, who does pop, and now currently it's more goth and Halloween stuff. And we had
Yeah.
said we were talking about the subsequent representation with dark and even rock music DJs intertwine like art music with rap. We want
Right.
that as people of color, especially after
Absolutely.
2020. And you know,
Yes.
I was looking. Speaking of the Viper Room, I was, and I'm going to repost that show on your TikTok at the Viper Room. You
Oh,
had the
thanks.
front row vibing to your. I'm getting fucking goosebumps. Your outstanding and soul of zombie. I mean, this is a front row with Black fans feeling your your
Yeah.
music. And I've been and witnessed Black people rocking out with favor at rock shows. I have in the audience.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard Nirvana was at a junior high school dance, which was mostly brown and Black kids. And I felt
Nice.
free because I was like, so I am allowed to like this music
Right.
because my
Oh, that
parents
must have been
told me I
so
couldn't.
liberating.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it's funny to me that while but then white people get excited when they see us in their
Yes.
spaces, like, whoa,
Hmm.
but then,
Absolutely.
so here's me and Gray talking about like, how do we, and this is part of why I'm doing the podcast is how do we get these DJs and podcast promoters or
Yes.
whatever to start, just make a song or mix a song with a rap bridge in it, play it at a goth club with a diverse crowd, because here in Portland, the
Right.
Portland goth scene is way more diverse than it was in LA, in my honest opinion. And I
Yeah.
was in the LA goth scene and metal scene, my whole life up until 2 years
Yeah.
ago. I love Portland, by
Okay.
the way. I would love you to come up here. I feel like you'd be embraced. Um, but
Yes.
but on top of that, in the goth scene up here, have even put out there on private Facebook groups, like, can we get more POC in this fucking group
Right.
of this community? So it's like,
Yes.
so it's just really interesting how you had mentioned, like, you've got to be intentional and you've got to put us on the bill, because put other Black people on the bill, because we can talk about representation all day, but
Hmm.
the part that I'm starting to notice is we have to be intentional about representation. And it's nothing
Absolutely.
against, rock musicians that aren't melanated. It's just,
Right.
include us. It's representation. You, Élishia,
Absolutely.
you're more than representation. You are a whole movement.
Oh
And
gosh,
also
thank you.
Jonathan just put a giant in all capital letters, what?
Yeah.
He wrote me back right away. So I think he's looking at your Instagram right now. But
Gosh.
yeah, like, what do you think about that? Like, if you had, and then getting more people of color in the Viper room, that's badass. The only one time I went, it was the goofiest show, and
Oh no.
I felt like I was the only person of color in there, and even then I wear colorful wigs so people get confused and a little too
Right.
comfortable around me. So, I appreciate it. And, I want to talk about your style too. But tell me
Yeah.
more about like your experiences at the Viper Room. Like, you say you were getting booze. How was Nam this past weekend? How were you received there? Did I say
Oh my
Nam?
gosh.
Nam?
Yeah, well, Nam. Yeah.
Nam.
Yeah. So Nam, oh my gosh, Nam is always a vibe.
Okay.
It's weird because like so I'll say this. As a kid, I was very, very shy. And I didn't necessarily get a lot of attention because I was just kind of this goofy, nerdy, kid or whatever. The only time I got attention was when I was on stage, right? Because it's
Mhm.
like, I'm here, you have to look at me. I have a mic in my hand.
Right.
So when people now kind of like fangirl and fanboy over me, like just seeing me out in the wild, um, it's like it can still be a little like, oh my gosh, intimidating for me because I'm still not used to that.
Mhm.
And I know like with my look, like my look is very bold. And so
Mhm.
people are drawn to it and want to talk to me and they're like, oh my God, your hair. And they want to have full blown conversations and very, complimentary and all of
Mhm.
that. And it's so cool and so sweet, but I have to admit it's very intimidating. So at
Mhm.
NAM, it was just like people were treating me like some sort of celebrity, and it was just like it was crazy. Like I went to NAM last year, because they were off for a couple of years because
Yeah.
of the pandemic, and so I finally got to go again after like a couple years break. And even last year, like people were, just coming up to me and they wanted to know what I do and like, who are you? And like, should I know you? And I'm like, yes, you definitely should. And so then this year it was like, hey, like I remember you from last year and I saw you last year, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you and I want to talk to you. And so it was just, it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of new people and this
I love
year,
it.
and also got to, you know, kind of reunite with what we call Namely, you know, the people that I met last year. And so it was really cool. I'm such a nerd at heart. So like being around like all the cool new like products,
Mhm.
I kind of freak out a little bit because I'm just like, yay, new technology, like we
Right.
love that. So I was definitely like on my nerdy cloud all weekend, and it was just fun. Like the energy was so cool, and it's always nice to be in a space where there's a whole bunch of creatives,
Yeah,
because a majority of the people who are there, you know, are creatives. They're musicians, they're artists, they're songwriters, or they have music podcasts, or like whatever it is. And so like just being around that energy and being in that energy and contributing to that energy is just always really exciting.
I love it.
Um,
I
so
love it.
yeah,
I'm glad
that
because
was
I know
great.
like going to Orange County sometimes is a little. I'm bitter. I'm
Yeah.
so bitter about my last few years' experience in LA and Orange
I'm
County,
so
and I'm like, oh,
sorry.
but no, it's okay. Honestly, I want, I shouldn't be bitter. I really shouldn't, because that's where I found, myself, was down in SoCal. I never got to NAM because I was like, that's for the musicians, but that's good. I wanted to hear that experience because you were so excited about going. I was like,
Oh yeah.
and
I love it.
yeah, everything that you're doing is, oh, I just can't get over it. So it's really good to hear. Your song, "The Other Side." I was on this whole Post Malone kick, and my son wanted to go his first concert. My 16-year-old, he wanted to go see Post Malone, so he took him last fall. And there's something about songs called "Other Side" this year for me. His song "Other Side," but yours, which is a lot more spirit fulfilling. "To my destiny, I say yes," to me is the lyric that speaks to me perfectly,
Oh,
because you're just a light. You're like this light, Élishia. Like,
thank you.
in your bio, you were mentioning how your growing fan base, you just want to empower them, which brings
Absolutely.
me to "A Storm Is Coming" featuring Kalindo.
Yes.
Beautiful. I'm so glad that you collabed with Kalindo, because now I'm a fan. And
Yay.
with the song "A Storm Is Coming," I feel like something is definitely coming, something that we must weather in strength and ride the waves of change
Yes.
to reach a steady new shore. So it also
Yes.
speaks
That's
of strength in love.
beautiful.
And you and
Yes.
Kalindo fucking rock this buttress. Okay, this is a
Thank you.
banger. So
Thank
what
you.
was your
Thank you.
mindset? Yeah, bringing mindset, birthing such a song, which is like a warning, but also like,
Hmm.
we got this. If you're ready
Yeah.
to, honestly, if I feel like the collective of, connected human beings is that we're in for some really tough times ahead of us. And, I feel like the new economy is going to be arts, like music. I would give up, okay, like maybe half of my Halloween collection for more music. Okay.
Really?
I really
I
would,
feel like
because
they're saying a lot.
no, it's true. It is a lot. And I would probably give it up, because if at the end of it all, I have to think about what is going to move me forward in life, and that's music. So with that, like, what kind of mindset were you in, putting that song together? It's
Right.
powerful. And I know this is your latest
Thank
single too,
you.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So first of all, I absolutely love your perspective on the
Thank you.
song. I'm like, you know, she probably should have wrote the wrote the like little blurb about this song when we were pitching this song.
I
I
wouldn't
love
mind.
it. It's beautiful. But so my mindset actually going into this song, I mean the song is at its core, it is a warning.
Mhm.
And it is a warning to let people know that the musical climate is shifting.
Mhm.
And it's about to shift in a big way. And more specifically, rock music is about to shift because there are a ton of us Black and Brown artists who are coming, and we not necessarily taking over, but like make some room for us.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's
and
their
so
biggest thing. They think that we're going to do to them what they do to us. when it's not
Right.
even
And it's
like
like,
that.
yo,
It's not
we're
even
not
like
trying to
that,
push you out. We're not
right?
trying to push you out, but we are trying to reclaim our space in this, because the reality is Black folks started rock and roll,
That's
and
right.
we don't get that credit. But there's so many of us who are doing, rock in so many different capacities, whether they're doing grunge or doing punk, alt, death metal, like
Yeah,
everything, like across the gamut of like what rock and roll is.
right.
And I'm fortunate enough to like have been connected with a lot of those artists and bands, and I'm in such awe of like what we're doing.
Mhm.
And I love that, we're coming out of the shadows and we're being unashamed about the particular genre that, people have tried to shame us for because of the color of our skin.
Yep.
So, that this song is saying, look, we are coming out the shadows. We're tired of being here. Like, we have something to contribute. We are coming, whether you like it or not.
That's right.
You better warn your daddy and your mother, because we are coming.
I love it. Hold on to your
Yes,
mother.
yes. Because
You
we might
know,
snatch them up too. You never know. They might fall in love with us. So, so
same.
that's what that song is about.
I just know that, I look at what you're doing. I look at what Stormy Maya's doing, Cinnamon Babe, and
Yes.
she's promoting, her defense of her involvement in new metal and how rock and roll is
Hmm.
black. And I see all the
Yep.
hate that she's getting, and I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like,
It doesn't.
it really
It
does. So
doesn't. Even after she explains like what she means by that, people still want to hate.
yeah,
And that's just really what it is. There's just gonna be some people who just want to be negative
yep,
about something, and there's nothing that you can say or do to change their mind. And you just have to, you see what they have to say, hear what
mhm,
they have to say, and you move on from it. Like, I honestly
yeah.
wouldn't even respond to half of the stuff that she responds to.
That's what I told her
Because it's
once.
just
I'm like, babe, I need more music. I need more songs from you. And plus, I love everything that she's about too. I'm trying to get her on my shows. Again, not being taken seriously, being in the shadows. Our voice is only for one thing. Yeah, it's this movement is beautiful to me. And Alicia, I feel like you're just right at the top. Now let's talk about your style for a little bit too.
yes, let's talk about it.
Okay, I'm obsessed with everything that you wear, but that's no secret. I have to know. You're like, black
Yes.
people love snow too, which yes, I am a North forest fairy with body hair
I
and
love it.
naked in the woods. And I'm used to people telling me black people don't like the cold. I'm like, why am I out here, 5 o'clock in the morning? Because I'm hot. It's hot in the
Right,
house.
right.
I gotta go outside. I love the cold. Where did that snowsuit? That snowsuit is everything. And where were you when you
The
shot that bid?
snowsuit
Yeah.
it came from Doll's Kill. So
Oh,
ordered it from dollskill.com. Is one of my favorite stores. And I was in Utah. I was in goodness, what the heck city was that called? Good Lord. It'll come to me. So
okay.
I was actually out there with my family.
Okay.
Yeah, my brother-in-law and my sister, my niece, my parents, and then of course my husband. We went out there for just like a family trip,
Love.
and just to do something different, and just to connect and just be in a different environment, because most of us are like, Cali folk.
Mhm.
Like, we are
Yeah.
used to the warmth and all of that. And although my family's kind of spread out now, like my parents are in New Mexico, and my sister and brother-in-law and niece, they're in the DC area.
Mhm.
All of them are getting ready to move back to California, which is hilarious. But we like warmth.
Yeah.
But we're like, let's do something different. And so we were out in the snow, and let me tell you, it snowed hard like all like 5 days we were there. Um,
It looked like I was like,
and
ooh.
yes, it was definitely a winter wonderland, but it was so fun. It was so beautiful. And yeah, like I was just trying to give folks a little, a little something, something, like let them know, like, hey, we can exist out here too.
Right?
In the snow. It's nothing to be scared of. Like, just
Nothing.
bundle up.
Yeah, get you a fuck. You will find anything that you're looking for to survive any type of climate. And I do love that you were like, look, we are really all over the place. We're in music, we're in rock music, we're in the snow, we are everywhere. And there's some rural
Right.
parts up here that I send my white husband into before I go in to test, to check sometimes. But
Right.
there's
Like
times
do
where
a
I'm like,
temperature check.
yeah, there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'll walk in with no bra, my natural hair out. I don't give a shit because I'm like, hey, I'm here and I'm fucking happy about it. So, like, you can be
Right.
rural and, because I'm not, after again, Southern California, and I've always felt
Mhm.
the call to be here, kind of like you with rock music and this type of
Yeah.
music. I've always wanted to live in a place where, I don't know, I've always been called to the Pacific Northwest. I've always wanted to come
Yep.
here. I found home, placed
It's
some roots.
beautiful up there.
It
We've
really
done some
is.
shows in Oregon.
I
I
want
like
you.
Oregon.
I'm gonna have to bring you up here. I'm gonna have to get you up
I
here
would love it.
somehow. And you can stay at my
Please.
place.
Okay. Well,
I got
then
this.
then that's settled.
It's done. And just one more thing. I was going over my questions here, and I was taught. Tina Turner is a huge influence of mine. When I was doing theater in my freshman year of high school at Pomona High High in SoCal.
Yep.
I had picked to do one of my first skits doing Tina Turner's when Angela Bassett, mom, please be my mom. She had done, Tina's rendition in the movie. What's it called? I can't even think. I'm still so just stoked to be talking with you.
Love got to do with it.
What's love got to do with it? I just watched that recently. That was a hard movie to watch.
Yeah, it's very hard to
it's a
watch.
it's a tough one, but like her, you embody this uniqueness to you with highlights of Tina's voice because your voice
Thank you.
commands the way it speaks to spirit. So I was like, Tina, pass the torch, but I do want to know like your rap influences. I was again creeping through your TikTok. Sorry, I just started following you. I have been watching. But like, who are your rap influences? Because I can't rap. I can barely read a poem with grace. And this is where I'm like, this must be my Caucasian side. I can't
Oh
roll my
no!
R's, So
Oh
who are
man!
your favorite rap influences? Because damn, you're good. You're good at everything.
Oh my God. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I promise I'm not good at everything. Like I still can't play guitar, by the way.
Hey, I'm not mad.
Working
I'm not
on it.
mad.
But my rap influence, I love this question because nobody has ever asked me.
What?
Nobody has ever asked. And it's cool because like it shows that you've done your homework and you've
Oh yeah.
actually like watched videos of me rapping because rap is very much like a part of like my being as well. Like I love to rap. Like whenever we go on like road trips, I'm putting on rap albums because I need something to like, rap along to stay awake.
Yes.
So, and I think my influences are going to surprise you. So I have to say that, like, well, first of all, L Boogie, Lauryn Hill. I used to think I was going to be like the next Lauryn Hill. So Fuji's like that was my like the score. That's my shit right there. I still bump that.
Yes.
And of course, Miss Education of Lauryn Hill, like that's
Yeah.
classic. Like that album will never get old. So Lauren is definitely at the top of my list. Bone Thugs and Harmony,
Oh my
like
God.
that
No one brings them
BCNH.
up. No one
They
brings them up.
don't, but I'm like, yo, like they were on to something. They were doing their shit back then. And
Right?
BCNH Resurrection is like my shit. Like I love to rap fast.
Mhm. Okay,
So
that makes
I
sense.
listen to them when I'm in a mood and when I'm in that mood. I will say Kanye West, even
Mhm.
though it's kind of tough mentioning his name these days.
It is hard, but we'll just go back to when
We'll just
yeah.
right. We'll focus on the when the general public loved him.
Right.
Uh, but like Kanye for sure, like the delivery, the stories. Because I'm always all about the story. So
Same.
even in my own music, like that's what I like to do. I have to approach a story.
Mhm.
I don't like to just sing or rap about just whatever. So I appreciate it, you know, all of those artists that I
Mm,
name, like, you know, they tell a story, whether it's like a story that you can relate to, or not. Because I
right.
definitely can't relate to any of Bone Thugs storylines. But the delivery and the passion and like, yo, they were on fire. So I'm like, I fuck with this.
Yeah, the melody.
So
Oh, taking
mhm,
me back.
yep. Yes. So yeah, I'd have to say like those are like my influences
I love it.
for sure.
I'm noting this because I'm gonna promo the hell out of this. This is like, it's not even promo. It's more like, here, let me just show you this gift. Let me just show you how you made the rest of my day go,
Oh my
and then share
gosh.
that with the
Thank you.
listeners. But fucking fantastic. I remember when Bone Thugs had won. I had pulled a bunch of my friends. I forget what year it was. Must have been 1996, when I believe they were performing at the MTV Music Awards and then won. They were all in the white suits, and I was
Yeah,
in tears, just happy, because even then I feel like with the progression of rap music, it was still all Snoop, Dre, and Bone
right.
Thugs were kind of like the underdogs of rap. Like
Yeah.
Onyx. There's a lot of
Yes.
the like rap artists that I listen to that people were like, huh, they ain't all that. I'm like, damn, I'm in some real gangster shit here, you know? I'm in it. Deep underground. I wouldn't say that they were
Right.
underground, but they were kind of like the underdogs, and
They
unfortunately,
kind of
we don't
were,
have
yeah.
them. Yeah, and I'm not. There was a time where upset with Lauryn Hill because she was, but it wasn't personal. It was because my creature formerly known as my sister was all up her ass. So I was like, I'm not into her anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie. When we were moving, the Fugees came on a few times in one of my kids' playlists, and I was like, take me back to these days. Where's Lauren now? Erica Badu, speaking of Macy Gray. These are other like women of color that I just absolutely love myself.
I'm
And
obsessed with Erica Badu. I
you
I
too?
adore that woman. And she's like one of like my style icons too. Like I feel like she can do absolutely no wrong.
Nope, she can't. All
She
these years,
can't.
she cannot.
She's amazing. And I love when she pops up on my feed. I'm just like, oh, queen.
So I I just thrilled. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, getting to
No,
know you
thank
more.
you.
What's next for you? Let's say for the summer of 2023. What do I?
Ooh. Right. Okay. So we have another single and music video coming out um for Anti-Hero, which I've performed at my shows. But we hadn't, officially released the song. I, kind of just tested it at like all my shows for the last year. So we are finally, putting like the polish on that, putting the polish on the mix. Shout out to my wonderful husband Jay, who's actually over there right now working on the mix for it, so that we can put this out. So that's coming out. That song, music video. So you'll actually start seeing a lot of like teaser stuff for it. A lot of
Yes.
footage and behind the scenes stuff. Because I'm kind of obsessed with the video, and I kind of got to live out my like blurty dreams with this video
Love
and
it.
being like a superhero. So that's up and coming. The album is on the way. We're also finishing like the mix on the album. And then we will be announcing a tour soon.
Ah! Okay, good. I can't
Yes,
wait. I will be
yes.
watching and sharing and connecting the entire way.
I
Um,
love you.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
Oh, anything I can do. Like I said, I just have to plant the seed. You are everything. I don't think
Mm.
it's gonna be like when I spoke to Jonathan, right before Urban Heat blew the fuck up. And
Yeah.
Alicia, I'll tell you, and I'm just grateful that I got his time. Just like I'm getting yours, but I watched this band, you know, blow up in popularity overnight, and they just finished touring with Vision Video, and it's
Wow.
just incredible, like what's happened to Urban Heat and the reception. And I know you're going to be even bigger, and
Thank you.
I appreciate and love everything you're doing. You have a fan, you have a friend, you have a connection in me. Just keep it
Oh,
up. Just
thank you.
keep this beautifulness up.
Thank you so much. I
Of
mean,
course.
people like you are who I do it for. Like,
Oh,
seriously, you guys, like, just being so encouraging and loving and accepting of what I do is what fuels what I'm doing. So even
absolutely.
like on those tough days where I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? And I just want to stay on the couch and I contemplate my entire life. Uh, I think about the people who like really support like what I'm doing, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way that I could ever give up,
Oh,
because you guys like really ride with me, and I'm here for you guys, and to
yeah,
just continue to encourage and inspire you guys to go after your dreams, whatever those dreams are.
that's right.
So
Set
yeah,
us
so thank
free.
you.